Hello, everybody. Welcome to Founders and Creators. Today on our show, we have Kelsey Rodriguez. She's a YouTube creator who creates videos about art, painting, making money online as an artist, and more. Her channel, Kelsey Rodriguez, has 8,000 subscribers and 250,000 channel views. I'm so happy you're here, Kelsey. Welcome to the show. How's it going today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you today, Zach?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Awesome.
So I want to pick your brain. To start off, how did you get started on YouTube?
Yeah, so basically the gist of it is that I was a junior in college, sort of wrapping up my junior year, and the pandemic had just hit. I just finished my first semester of online college, which was a terrible experience. Don't recommend. And I was a political science major, and I was sort of realizing that the more that I learned about sort of the career path that I wanted to embark on, the less passionate that I was about it, and the more that it became like a really draining force on my life. And I'd always been really artistic. I'd always been really creative. And I thought that like, maybe I should actually give this a shot. And I tried other things before. I had been working in galleries in the past, but I really wanted to start taking it seriously. And I know that if you want to build a creative career, it's really important to have a robust social media presence. And so for me, like YouTube was that platform that I wanted to be on. And I knew that I would be really passionate about video content, that I would be really interested in it. And so, I started my channel, and it was really rocky at first, but I hit my first 100 subscribers almost 6 months into it. And then this past August, so over a year and a half later, I hit 1,000. And then it's been very fast growth ever since. We're going to hit 10K by the end of March, I think.
That's awesome. That's exciting. So that early stage where you went from 100 to 1,000, what did that look like for you?
It was a lot of improvement in quality. I went from living in Minnesota to living in Alaska, and in the Alaskan winter, there is not very many daylight hours. And so it was really tricky to have good quality lighting in my videos, especially because I was filming on my phone at first. I had like zero gear, and it was basically gradually teaching myself how to be a better creator, how to be entertaining, how to speak on camera, how to gain that confidence, teaching myself video editing, how to light a shot, how to, create aesthetically pleasing content. And then I invested in this camera, a Canon M50 and a Rode mic. And that's been like the bulk of my gear ever since. And I really started hitting like a good kind of quality and format for my videos this past summer, maybe in like June or July. But in terms of strategy, it's been a lot of focusing on search-driven content.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's great, because that kind of leads to my next question for you. I like the fact you talk about evergreen content in your videos, something like I'm really big on. Could you explain what evergreen content is for people who don't know?
Yeah, so here's a good analogy. Like Squid Game, for example, was very popular a couple months ago, but that popularity might wax and wane over like the next 10 years or 5 years, right? Evergreen content does not have this characteristic. It is like tutorial-based content, value-based content, where you can foresee someone being interested in this same topic 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. They're still probably going to be interested in something like this. That's sort of how I define evergreen content that doesn't have like a specific lifespan attached to it.
No, I think that's a great definition, because I'm big on that. And I guess the follow-up then is like, what percentage is evergreen for you? Like, what does your balance look like? Because like for me, like I would say it's like almost 90% evergreen, and then that 10% is that extra stuff. But I know channels that it's just like 50-50. Like, what does it look like for you?
I think when you're just starting out, definitely have close to 100% of your content as evergreen, because I mean, you're just starting out. Like, no one's going to care about your studio vlogs or your developer vlogs because you haven't built up that reputation, and that people don't care about you enough for that. Not to be like mean or anything, but like there's just not that interest, and that's what you have to be really aware of as a creator. So really important to focus on search-focused content in the beginning, and then gradually I've been drifting a little bit away from that, trying to have less overt like keywords and search-focused content. Even if I do want to rank for a keyword, I'm not having that be the focus of the title, for example. Like one of my recent videos was my first finished sketchbook ever. And that isn't a keyword that I am trying to really rank for, right? Like I am right now in the stats, but like it's not something that someone is explicitly searching. Right. It's more of a browse features focused title, more human centric. And so you're basically shifting from wanting your content to rank well in an algorithm to wanting it to be pushed out on a homepage or browse features more.
No, that pretty much correlates with like I understand. So that's good to hear that
Yeah.
because, like, as you know, that there's a lot of information out there. But no, I definitely think that that's super important to understand. So now you've done a couple of videos on YouTube SEO for artists. And I mean, you mentioned it a little bit. Could you explain your SEO process and maybe offer some advice and tips for channels that are struggling in that department?
Yeah. So the first and most important part of any video is the foundational idea, like the concept behind it. You want to basically look to see if that there are other videos like this being made, or at least tangentially videos related to the same topic, because you want to gauge interest. If there is no video out there that exists like the one that you want to make, you have to really ask yourself whether or not this is actually a viable idea or a viable concept. And then once I have that concept, like a video that I'm thinking about right now, for example, is should your art be a hobby or a business? That video idea is a question, but I have to do the research for the title to figure out, okay, like how can I best reach the kind of person that wants the answer to this question? And then for keyword research, I use a lot of TubeBuddies. The TubeBuddies Keyword Explorer tool is excellent for this. It gives you really, really great individualized data for your channel. If you subscribe to one of the paid plans, if not, I think you could still do some keyword searches. But
They have a
I use that tool. I use that tool to sort of test my keywords, figure out what's going to rank the highest. And I try to have all of my titles or the keywords that I want to rank for have no exact matches, which is a little bit complicated sometimes. And then also really high search volume and competition where the lowest view count is somewhere within my average view range for my videos, so that I have an actual opportunity to rank in that search.
Oh, that's fascinating. No, I think that that's a good plan. And it kind of correlates. So I had Dean, the longest solo ever, on a while ago, and he explained his process too. And he told us like the secret nugget is if you could find something that has low competition but high search volume, because then you could hit both things and really have it take off. So
absolutely, yeah. And even related to that, if the competition that exists out there is low quality, or it doesn't answer the question, or it's not as in-depth as you could be, that is like sort of an opportunity you can exploit as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, then I do have to ask, when you're looking at competitors, is there a couple in particular? Like, do you look at bigger channels and do you get like, ideas from them or smaller channels, or is it like in between? Like, what's your process at evaluating your competition?
So I don't know if I necessarily think of creators in my same niche as competition per se. I think it's at least on art YouTube, it's a very community sort of centric space. It's very much like we're making friends with each other. And like competition is definitely sort of a good way to think about it when you're doing analysis of what the current trends are. But when I'm doing trend analysis, I'm looking at all of YouTube, not even just within my niche. I want to figure out sort of what are the thumbnails that are really trending right now? Like what sort of title design should I be looking at? And a lot of my video ideas don't even come from trend analysis. It comes from like really looking at my target audience and figuring out what they want, or polling my audience and figuring out what concerns they have and what advantages or opportunities I have to answer those questions.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess I didn't mean competition in the traditional sense. I guess I'm so used to.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. Well, to shift gears just a little bit, I loved your video on Instagram sucks for artists and really content creators in general. In your opinion, what is the number one reason why someone should start a YouTube channel versus an Instagram page?
Every video is an investment. Every piece of content is an investment, and it does not have like a lifespan per se. On Instagram, you're really lucky if your content actually can stay evergreen, so to speak, for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. On YouTube, the lifespan of a video is measured in decades, years, not hours. And that is an enormous difference. I can view every video that I make as a portfolio in like this passive income stream, like potential, this opportunity that I'm building for myself. And that's enormous. That's life-changing. It's not a make or break thing if one video doesn't do well right away, because it could take off at any point down the line. And that like that's changed my life, that realization.
No, I think that's a good way to look at it. I mean, especially since so many people, they hear about Instagram and Facebook and they think that like those are the big two, with the whole meta thing. But YouTube's been here for, geez, almost like 20 years now, and
Yeah, it's
it's
not going
still
anywhere.
no, it's not gone anywhere.
And
So
even if YouTube does fade, there's always going to be demand for long form video content put out by independent creators.
Oh, I agree completely. And I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people love TikTok, and I still think their algorithm is amazing and it's incredible for discoverability as well. But,
Yeah.
When you're talking RPMs and CPMs and like how much money
Yeah.
people are making, like I've seen some of those, like Mr. Beast, I think he posted like how much money he made off TikTok, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
nothing. It was, and then he
Yeah.
posted like what he said on YouTube, and it was like ginormous.
Yeah,
So,
Hank Green did a really good meta-analysis of this, looking at like the money that he was making early on and now,
mhm.
when earlier on he was getting less views and there were less people on the platform, it was less crowded, he was making more money than he is now when he's getting more views and there are more people on the platform, because the TikTok Creator Fund is sort of a finite fund. It's not growing with revenue.
Oh,
It's
wow.
the same amount that it was before. So the more successful TikTok becomes, the less it's going to pay its creators. And that is a huge disadvantage compared
Right.
to YouTube.
Well, I never knew that. That's fascinating. I'll have to
Yeah.
check that out. Hank Green's awesome. I think that's the brother, and he's the writer, right? Right? Or is the other one the writer?
John Green is the writer.
John Green's the writer. Okay. Okay. Hank Green does the history, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Hank Green also, they both do Crash Course stuff. I think
Right.
Hank Green also has his own book out, but John Green is he's like the author whose stuff is made into movies. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. No, I watched those Crash Course videos when I was in high school, and then even to this day, like they'll
Same.
come up on my
Yeah.
suggested, and I'll be like, these were so ahead. It was so ahead of its time. Like you would think
For
that
sure.
they were made
Yeah.
like right now. But enough of that tangent. So I guess before we adjust things about that, I wanted to ask about Instagram and YouTube specifically. Like, what do you think Instagram needs to do to maybe, push itself into competition against YouTube? Or maybe what are some features that you'd like to see as an artist, maybe to make it a better home for you?
Honestly, Instagram has burnt so much goodwill from me that I'm not sure they could do anything that would convert me back to the platform. It would have to be a very different place. They'd have to pay their creators substantially. They'd have to do some kind of similar revenue split to YouTube, because YouTube really they've set the standard, and the standard is really high on YouTube for how it pays its creators. It's very generous, and that environment really fosters an environment of quality, and I don't think Instagram really has that right now. I also think that they're trying too hard at trying to poach market share from other social media platforms, and they're getting increasingly less clear on the basic idea of the platform. They're trying to be everything when they should just focus on one thing and try to be really good at that one thing.
No, I agree completely. I mean, what did you think about the whole so it's interesting. They took the amount of likes on pictures, and you can't see the numbers. I don't know if that's for everybody, but for certain accounts, maybe. And then obviously like YouTube took away the dislike button, things like that. Do you think that, the like thing with Instagram, was that another reason that it kind of went? What was your opinion on that whole transition?
I think that was fine. I don't really have strong opinions about that. My beef with Instagram comes with, again, the lack of evergreenness to its content, how it has such a short lifespan, and also the expectations of creators on Instagram to grow. Like, YouTube rewards quality of individual pieces of content. You can focus for months and months and months, like someone like Quentin Reviews or CJ the X, both like video essay creators and commentary channels. They spend weeks perfecting one piece of content, and that goes viral. I don't think that you would have that same phenomenon on Instagram, because Instagram is very much a quantity game rather than a quality game. And that really fosters a very different kind of environment and a much more high stress environment for creators. So I don't know how they would do it, but if Instagram wanted me back personally, they would have to think about how to improve that dynamic, because right now the algorithm rewards you for posting constantly, for using all of its features. And as an artist, like, my content is my art.
Right.
And as an oil painter especially, I can't make a new painting every single day forever. Like that's not sustainable for me. And so they would have to think about other ways to like continue to incentivize content creation while like fostering a healthy environment for creators.
No, that's a really interesting perspective, and I really appreciate that answer, because as someone who's not like an artist, you know, I mean, I consider myself artistic, but I
Yeah.
don't paint or publish anything on Instagram. I never really thought of it like that, you know. But if you spend so much time, I mean, I can only imagine how long it takes to paint some of those paintings.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you just get to post it once. You're right. That's only one opportunity to go quote unquote viral versus something on
Right.
YouTube where you could post it and, you know, it could continue to get views indefinitely. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's some ways to bypass this. You can like post like work in progress shots or Instagram reels, but there is definitely a limit to how much content you can like milk out of one painting.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Sweet. Well, I'd love to talk more about like your organizational skills, because you use
Yeah.
Notion to set up tasks and goals for yourself, which I think is
Yeah.
super cool. Were you always that way? And do you have any advice for people who want to be more organized and goal oriented?
Yeah, I've always been this way. I think when I was a freshman in high school, I already had like a spreadsheet of all the colleges that I wanted to go to, like pros and con lists and like
Hmm.
tuition and like what do my grades have to be like. And like that comes to like my low income background. Like I knew going into it that I would have to have sufficient academic performance to be able to get a scholarship. Sorry, I'm just adjusting.
That's okay.
This is what I get for having
Natural
southern
light.
exposure. Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah, like where I am, to make you feel better, like if we took the camera and looked outside, there's no sunlight at all. Like
Oh
I,
man.
you know, it's like Western Pennsylvania is like one of the most cloudiest places on earth. So it's like it really stinks. So I have to deal with like artificial light, which is not, you
Yeah.
know, as fun. But anyway, so yeah, you were
But
talking
yeah, so
about.
back to organization.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say that I've definitely always sort of been like this, be it with my bullet journal or with Notion. I love my bullet journal. I like sort of got me through high school, that kind of productivity system. Um, I would say that for me, any productivity system has to be very flexible. I like to sort of change up my days, but I also need some kind of amount of structure and accountability. If you want to get started with organization, I would really recommend like bare minimum have an accountability partner, someone you can go to check in and make sure that they're doing what you need to be doing and making sure that you're checking everything off of your list. um, Notion is a really great tool. It's great for building databases and workspaces if you have like a very long-term kind of project, or if you want an even more robust system for organization. I have a couple templates on my website for that, but for me, having that sort of content calendar and having everything that I need to make videos with and sort of keeping all of that straight, like sponsorships and deadlines and like topics. And I like to have all of that very much together when it comes to like shot lists and talking points. Having that all in one place is really important for me. And Notion is a great tool for this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool, because you know it's funny is my buddy, he was talking about Notion, and I tried it out and I didn't really understand how big and large and like all, you know, all the
Yeah. It's
parts to it.
intimidating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it was intimidating, and I was like, "Whoa, I'm gonna stick with my to-do list." Like I have the to-do list.com one where it's literally
Mm-hmm.
just like, you know, task, 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 and you could like detail it. But I didn't realize the
Yeah.
benefits of having the databases, and that's something
Mm-hmm.
that I definitely want to explore again. And seeing that you were doing it kind of
Yeah.
motivated me to check it out again.
Yeah, I definitely recommend checking out like some tutorials with Notion, sort of learning how you can make it work for you, because like there's the initial sort of fear factor when it comes to like, oh crap, there's like so much stuff that I could play with. Like how am I gonna like use all of this? But once you sort of get past that initial fear, you realize how flexible it is, how powerful a tool it is, and how you can make it exactly what you want it to be.
No, that's so cool. No, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm gonna also check out the templates that you suggest. You said they're on your website.
Yeah, yeah, I have some on my website and also on my Patreon. Yeah.
Oh, sweet, sweet. Well, that's a good transition to our next talking point, your Patreon. How
Yes.
important is Patreon for artists like yourself? And do you have any advice for content creators who want to create their own?
I think it's absolutely vital. Um, Sort of the fear of any content creation lifestyle is that eventually, like, you're going to get a little burnt out, right? You're going to want to take a break, or sort of there's a financial instability that comes with being a creator and an artist where you're not really having a very reliable paycheck, especially when it comes to like things like YouTube AdSense. And so having a place where I can put like 1% of my content and some really appealing extra stuff while being able to say to someone like, this is how you can support me. If you like this content, if you want me to make more of it, like go here, and you get really cool stuff in return. That's vital. And there are creators who are making six figures, like artists on YouTube, just from their Patreon alone. And I think it has just changed their lives. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, no, it's crazy. And I remember when it first like came out, and the concept was just like such a great idea, an alternative way to support some of your favorite artists or musicians or whatever else it might be. So then I guess the tips perspective, I mean, when did you decide to create that Patreon? And do you have any like perspective into other creators and how they should set up their pages?
Yeah. You want all of your rewards to be scalable for sure. Like, I want to do the same amount of work for 10 patrons as 10,000. I don't want to have to invest a ton of time into just fulfilling patron rewards. I want it to be a very consistent amount of time that I can expect per month that I can fit into my calendar. And I don't want to be overwhelmed if I'm experiencing a sudden burst of success. I started my Patreon page shortly after I hit 1,000 subscribers, and I'm sort of just starting to grow it. Like, I think in January I hit $100 per month for the first time. Now I'm making close to like 120-ish.
Awesome.
So it's slow going at first for sure. And I think the important part is to have very appealing rewards. Like, you want to think about who follows you, why they follow you, and what you could give them that would make them want to support you financially.
Oh, that's great. That's great perspective. No, that's good. That's very helpful. Yeah, we had Kaylee on last time, and she kind of talked about her, Patreon as well. But I appreciate that perspective, especially since it's like it is scary, for a lot of creators to like put that out there and be like, okay, I'm like launching. So having that kind of template or idea really helps them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So on a more personal note, I just want to say how impressed I am with your channel transparency. You share your ad revenue, how much money you make through your Patreon products. You always mention the fact you have a partner supporting you through the early stages of your career. How important to you is having a supportive partner in entrepreneurship?
It's meant everything. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do this if I hadn't, if I didn't have a boyfriend that was really supportive, that like actively tried to convince me to turn down job offers that he thought wouldn't be a good fit for me. Like, I got a job offer a couple of months ago that was like a bare minimum, sort of minimum wage New York salary. Like, it was, I think, a little over 30K a year, and it would have been an hour commute each way. Wow. I would have been working 5 days a week in the office, and it would have been like a video editing, social media manager position where I would have been handling all of their social media. And that's a 6-figure position that they were severely undercutting me for. And it was ridiculous. That's crazy. It was absolutely insane. I can't believe that they thought they would be able to hire someone like that. And like, the job contract is actually illegal because they wanted to hire me as a contractor, not as an employee, while still having all of the expectations on me of an employee. And that is illegal, actually, according to the IRS. And they could have been sued by the federal government. And so I like came home with this job offer, and like, it was exciting because I'd been job hunting for months. Like, I sort of have given up on the job hunt now that I'm able to make more money from my creative practice. And my boyfriend, like, we were just talking about this, and he was like, you should say no to this. Like, A, it's exploitative. B, you would hate it. And I don't want you to hate it, because he's very lucky to be in a job that pays him well and that he enjoys. So it means everything to me. Absolutely.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I feel the same way. Like, I have a wife, and, in my early stages of kind of what I was doing, she was very supportive of the whole idea. And, I just like to hit that home a lot, because I hear these horror stories of people who, they want to start their own YouTube channel or their own business or whatever it might be. And then, their spouse or significant other like isn't really supportive.
Yeah.
So I like to hear that there are people out there that are supportive of the idea. I mean, it makes it all, seem more feasible for the average person. So
Absolutely, for sure. And before I graduated, I was doing YouTube and stuff, and building out my income streams as a full-time college student. I was TA in multiple classes. I was grading like hundreds of papers per week. So if you wanted to have this as a full-time job while still taking it seriously, there is space for that. Yeah.
oh, that's awesome. Cool. So to shift gears a little bit, I always like to ask these two questions. So one, what is the biggest mistake that you've made in your YouTube career, or maybe just your art career in general? And then two, what are you most proud of?
I think the biggest mistake for me, this might be a little bit controversial, but it was not investing in high quality gear sooner. If I had purchased my camera and my mic, like as soon as I knew that I wanted to take this seriously, I would be much farther along, I think, in my journey. Yeah. I think the quality and the gear that I was filming my content with was really the bottleneck when I was just starting out.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Well, you're right. That is controversial because, we hear a lot of people that are like, oh, you could do it on your phone, or, you could do it.
Yeah.
But I will say, I feel like in your niche specifically, that's something that's really important. So, yeah. So then what are you most proud of then? What is your number one for that?
I think I'm most proud of the community that I've been able to build. Like I have a Discord server, and like my comment section is always so supportive. And a lot of people talk about how they're afraid to start a channel because of the hate comments they'll get, or like they're afraid of just like getting trolls and stuff. And while I do get like some of that, like some really weird ones, I just overall have been able to foster and build a really positive community. And I really, really cherish that so much.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. I think that's a really good answer. So then I guess, what are your future goals for your channel? Like what is the plan for the next, 1, 2, 5 years?
Yeah, by the end of March, I will probably hit 10K. That's my prediction anyway. I think we're definitely on track to hit 50K by the end of the year, even 100K. So that's, going to translate into me being able to go full time, provided that like AdSense scales with subscribers, which is not a perfect metric, but I was expect it to kind of align like that. And yeah, I'm optimistic about it for sure. I think I'm really looking forward to what the future holds, and I think I want to start a podcast soon with one of my friends that I mentioned earlier before we started recording, and launching my online shop soon. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm excited to see you grow. I'm a big fan of, everything that you do. So I guess one last question before you go. If you were to give one piece of advice to a new creator who wants to create a YouTube channel in 2022, what would it be?
Oh God, that's a loaded question.
Sorry. I come prepared.
Yeah. Have a plan, like really nail down your target audience, really research what they're interested in, and really try to figure out how you can provide value for that target audience, and just make the best possible videos for that target audience. Really nail down what they want, how you can provide that to them. And then in my experience, like everything will fall into place from there. Trying to make consistently better content, posting consistently, and really having that target audience nailed down will get you exactly where you want to be.
Oh, that's great advice. No, and again, I'm a big fan, and I think with that advice, I'm a positive guy. Like sometimes it doesn't seem that way, but I really am, and I really think that the stuff that people can do, they can change the world. And I'm a big supporter of the idea that if you have an idea, you should follow it. And again, like just talking to you, it really motivates me, and it gives me that juice to like keep going forward. So I appreciate the time that you spent with me today, and obviously coming on the show. Before you go, do you have anything you want me to promote or tell the audience about?
Just the channel mostly. That's what I'm trying to grow right now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll hit 50K by the end of the year.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, like your trajectory is looking great. So maybe when you hit 50K, we can have you back on and we could talk about what you learned in between. So
sure. I'd love that. Thank you so much for your time, Zach.
Oh, no problem. Well, fantastic. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe for more founders and creators content. Until next time, see you guys.
See ya.